scrappinkaty.ctmh.com. And today is day 20 of the 31 Days of Christmas Card video collab here on YouTube with my creative design team friends. Now, if you're just joining us, I will leave a playlist linked where you can catch up and see what we've shared so far. And don't forget that we are going to the end of the month. That's October 2020. So when you are done, you will see 31 different cards, techniques, takes on current product, past product, and kind of give you some tips and tricks on how to make your Christmas cards. Especially if you're new to making your Christmas cards, there will be some simple ones that you can definitely take from. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to ask. We love comments and questions and all of that jazz. So let's take a look at what I have to share today on the 20th day of the 31 Days of Christmas Cards. Okay, so for today's Christmas cards, I'm going to be using the window thin cuts. So here is a look at everything you get. So you get a couple of shutter options as well as little ledge or planter box options. And these are meant to go with our square foam and acetate shaker elements. And that way you can make these a shaker card as well. I'm going to show you a different take on that, simply just to kind of lessen the bulk on these Christmas cards for those of you who are mailing them. So let me go ahead and cut a couple of these pieces and then we can get started. Okay, I have gone ahead and I've cut my pieces, and this is a look at the piece I'm going to use. It's got the window frame and then just the basic window sill. And then I have also cut a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of our wood grain paper. Now I chose this pattern because it more resembled the outside of an old home to me versus the wide ones. But keep in mind that our wood grain pattern, we have several colors, widths, anything and everything, and I'll link that down below as well. So I have a pre-scored card base from Close to My Heart, and this is part of that card and envelope value pack that I use all the time. You guys see me pull it out. I just love that it's already done for you. That's one less cardstock I have to cut, and I just love that it's the perfect shape. So what we're going to do here is I want to be able to see behind this window. And there are a couple ways that you can view this window. You can view this window like we are going to do in this card, where I am on the outside of the house and I'm looking in. Or you could also do it where you're on the inside of the house looking out. And that's where you could get some beautiful scenery, you know, maybe a grove of Christmas trees, whatever the case may be. But we're going to do on the outside looking in. And I want the window just kind of skewed off to that right page or that right side of the card. That way it kind of opens, it leads you to open the card. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to measure that right here. And I am just going to take a pencil and I am just going to lightly put some pencil marks. I don't need all around the card. I just need to know what to cut. I'm going to pull out my cutter. And I'm going to cut right on the outside of that pencil mark because that window frame will actually go past that pencil mark, if that makes sense. So here's my pencil mark. I know you probably can't see it, but I am just going to line my cutter right there. And I went ahead and I've cut right there. So I want to line my blade up at that cut, and then I want to cut up a little past this pencil line. And then I'm going to rotate that piece and then put the top of this cut right here, because this particular cutter, you need to know your cutter, but this particular cutter, this blade cuts right on the edge of this titanium rod or guide. And then I'm going to cut down to that cut line. And so this is what I'm left with. So this definitely can be used for another project, and believe me, it will be. And then I want to kind of create an ambiance. This is the tree that you're going to be able to see behind my window. And so I want to create kind of a glow. So I'm going to pull out my canary ink pad and then our mini blender tool. And again, I have my card base on a piece of this all-purpose mat that I just cut to make it smaller. And I'm just going to kind of rub that canary into this card base. I definitely don't want to see a pattern, so I'm starting off the card base and then rubbing on the inside. And you can kind of see some circular motions, but I think once I get my tree in there, you won't be able to really tell what it is. So that is that, and we can move that to the side. And then now I am going to kind of eyeball this right quick, and then I want to see where I want this tree. So I definitely want to see the star, so I want to move it down just a little bit. So what I am seeing is I am going to line the bottom of this tree up with just right there where that dark spot ends. You could also glue this tree to the back side of this if you wanted, but I think it's going to be a lot easier if I just do it this way. And then I'm just going to make sure that that tree, you're not really going to see the bottom of this tree, but I do want it straight. So I'm just going to try to make sure the bottom of this tree is parallel to the bottom of my card base. I am happy with that. So for this, I'm just going to apply some tape adhesive to the back side, and you can see the back side of this pattern I used is gorgeous. If y'all have not had a chance to check out our core catalog, it's got several paper packets in there, and this wood grain is one of them, and it is just gorgeous. You'll see some other Christmas cards of mine that definitely uses the wood grain. Maybe not in this series, because I cannot believe we're already on the 20th day of this series, but you'll definitely want to be checking back on this channel as well as my Instagram to check those out. Okay, so you can see here that this goes just a little past that, but I'm going to go ahead and leave that for right now, because if you remember, our window is also going to be skewed a little. And so I'm only going to want to apply adhesive, and I find that liquid adhesive is best. Whichever is your favorite, doesn't really matter. You don't want to apply it to that fourth side, but you do want to apply it to these cross hairs or bars or whatever you call them. And then we want that off a little bit. We definitely don't want any of the window frame left on the right side, so I scooted it over just a second. Just a little bit. Can y'all see where that is there? It would have been a little bit better if my Christmas tree was over just a hair, but we'll make it work. And then I'm going to take my micro tip scissors and I'm going to trim off the excess of the wood grain as well as the excess of this window frame. And then there we have that. Now for the seal, or for the window pane, or I don't know what that is. No, window pane, window seal. Yes, window seal. I'm going to use, this is a brand new stamp set. You saw my creative friend yesterday, Julie, post a cute slimline card with this stamp set. But this stamp set will be available November 1st. I'm going to use a sentiment from that stamp set, and it says, "All is bright." But you could use any, we all have tons of Christmas stamps, don't we? And then I am going to ink that up in Scarlet because I definitely want to bring some red into this card. And I am just going to stamp that down on the center of this windowsill. Close that up because you guys know how messy I am. Isn't that so pretty? Now to add some dimension, I am going to take some thin 3D foam tape. And not only is it thin depth-wise, but it's thin width-wise. And that way it'll just fit right on there. I'm going to peel that backing off. And then I'm going to stick it right here. Now I want to see a little bit of the bottom of the window, but I want to line up, not this little part sticking out, but I want to line up that edge with the edge of my card. And I love how that just goes off there. It just adds a little bit more dimension. Another reason why you want to use thin 3D foam tape, and I love that Close to My Heart has it, is because if you are mailing these cards, which a lot of us do for Christmas, you don't want to add a whole lot of bulk. I do not mind spending the extra in stamps and postage to get these pretty cards to the people that I want to, but I do mind spending the extra and they still get ruined, if you know what I mean. So isn't that so pretty? So I'm just going to show you a couple of things that you could do to jazz this card up, and then I'm going to bring in another window sill card to show you a different variation. So off camera, I have stamped, do you remember the Jolly characters that I used a couple of episodes ago? I've taken this little wreath and I've inked it up in evergreen, and I've just stamped them right here. Well, remember, we are looking from the outside of the house into the house, and so let's just pretend that this homeowner decorates their house. So I am just going to cut along. And the good thing about this, guys, is because I have stamped these all in a row and because I'm cutting them in half, this other half can be used for another card. And so I'm just going to fussy cut along here. I'm going to try to hurry. Fussy cut along here to create that swag. I think it's called a swag. If I'm not saying it right, feel free to leave me a comment and let me know what these are called. But you know, the things that you have, sometimes you have them on fireplaces. I've also seen them on outsides of homes. And you could definitely do a whole lot more to this card, I'm telling you. So I'm going to do that right there. I used a scratch piece of paper, and this one has a tear right there. So I'm going to just tack this down with some liquid adhesive. If I can get it to come out. I'm almost running out. I love this stuff. A lot of people ask me the difference between them. There's definitely a difference. That green one is just kind of more forgiving. The blue one isn't. It's more rigid to me. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this one off. I'm going to take red marker, and let's go ahead and use one of our tri-blend markers. And I want to use, let's use the light side. And I'm just going to add some berries here and there. This wreath already has some berries, but of course, you know, that image is way too small to try to make those red. So see, you can do anything. Here's the other one that I made, and you can see where my star is a little more to the right, and I love that. I've also stamped some of the poinsettias from the Comfort and Joy scrapbooking stamp set. You could definitely layer these up. Now, you wouldn't necessarily have a poinsettia on the outside of your home, but pretty is pretty if you ask me. So we could, you know, kind of do that. add that poinsettia in that top right, and that would be pretty. And then let me bring in my other window frame card. Now this one is different. Not only did I cut the window itself out of black, I used the same sentiment, again, inked up in the scarlet, but I did add some embossing to this window sill to kind of look like snow. And then when you open this, you see the tree and it's got its own glow. And I love that this card, even though you can see through it, I love that this card lets you still have space to write your sentiment. Because, you know, a lot of these see-through cards, they're pretty, but, you know, where are you going to write your sentiment? And I love that this card allows that for right there. Now, also keep in mind that this window thin cut can also be used for shakers. This would be a cute, cute shaker. And you could do little gold or silver or confetti stars, anything like that to kind of jazz up your Christmas card. Okay, so I finished this card off. I did go ahead and attach that poinsettia and then those leaves, and then went ahead and put some goldenrod stickles in the center. And then for this card, I did finish it off with the thin cut bow from the Comfort and Joy scrapbooking stamp set. And then of course this one pretty much is left the same. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to watch tomorrow when Carrie shows you the 21st day of the 31 days of Christmas cards. And if you get lost along the way, check out the playlist where we are compiling a complete playlist where you can see all 31 days at a time when you are ready to sit down and make your own Christmas cards. Thanks so much for stopping by.